Hey, what is up, guys? Nick 2025 here, back with another Epic Gamer video as always. Today we are going to be discussing a topic that has just come out in the past 24 hours, or just about as of yesterday, at least is when they posted this blog. We are going to be talking about carry forward, and I know that some, or probably most YouTubers are probably cheering about this and most formats, but I'm giving it a different perspective on it because I feel like we do need to talk about it. There is a lot of good, but there could also be some potential bad that I'm going to bring to light, because even though it's small, I do think that Call of Duty could benefit from reconsidering how they do their carry forward with this, because a lot of the community, at least mainly the zombies proportion of the community, are not very happy with the carry forward not happening at all. And what I mean by that is, honestly, I'm just going to put up an example on the screen because, it's easier to explain that way. But essentially what they say is that all BO6 weapons and operator skins technically will not be transferring over to Black Ops 7 anymore. And that is due to the backlash online and just pretty much everywhere in general. Probably even from their own studio, to be honest. But there was a lot of backlash and talking about how carry forward, was being handled, because they originally did have carry forward and everything was going to transfer over, and they did say with some exceptions, but it turns out that was just score streak skins in certain areas. So stuff like Beavis and Butthead wouldn't transfer, or stuff like Beavis and Butthead would transfer over. Just things that don't make COD feel like COD. It makes it feel more like Fortnite, and I don't think anyone wants that for BO7, especially since, we're only waiting till Season 1, which is only usually like a month. So you're telling me we're going to play BO7 for like a month and then ruin that immersion? So that's what I'm saying. Like, in some aspects, the carry forward is very good, but there is a few little hits and details that I think they could have done and that they probably are not going to do. And this is due to, most leakers saying it, and, until they actually confirm it themselves, we truly don't know if it's going to happen or not. But from a multiplayer standpoint, I think that carry forward is great. I think that it is a good idea to not bring anything over from BO6, because one, multiplayer is always differentiated itself from like zombies or something like that. It's always been different, and I think that keeping that grounded aspect, quote unquote, in multiplayer is great. Whether or not they'll release some wacky bundles over the year is, it's too early to tell, to be honest. I know that there's a Monster Energy promotion going live in a couple days, and I think from that we'll be able to tell whether or not that we should be getting futuristic skins or not. But I guess the Mountain Dew skins are usually pretty grounded, so I guess that doesn't really give us a good indicator anyway. But yes, as a, just in general, to get it out of the way, as a multiplayer standpoint, I think it is great, and I think that we should not have carry forward, because, again, it just doesn't make sense. But now here's where we get into the juicy stuff. Here's where we get into the issues that I think. And now I know what most people are going to say, who might be watching this video soon. They're probably going to say, well, you asked for carry forward not to happen, and now that it's not happening, you're complaining. You're still complaining. Yeah, I get it. We are still complaining because there are some things that we thought they would keep over. Like, example, the biggest thing that is going on within the community right now, or again, as I mentioned in the video, at least with the zombie side, is that with carry forward and, nothing from BO6 carrying over, that means that, like, and operators, skins, guns, blah, 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 all those will not carry over to zombies. And I know what you're thinking. I'm like, well, isn't that a good thing? Don't you want a new arsenal? Yes, but there should be some exceptions, because there is some weapons that fit better into zombies than they do multiplayer, and they actually make sense to stay. And first of all, it's zombies. It's a PvE experience. Why wouldn't you want a bigger arsenal of weapons? And sure, there's some weapons that did take over the meta, quote unquote, in zombies. I'm looking at you, Maelstrom Shotgun. Especially the shotgun aspects, I would say, took over the meta for the longest time. But I think that, what they did with MW2 and MW3, they rebalanced pretty much all the weapons from MW2 and essentially just made them unusable. So it's not like it even mattered anyway, especially in zombies. But there was some good things about the MW2 weapons being in zombies, like the crossbow, for example. I literally made a video on it talking about how good it was, and it was great. So I think that in some cases, some weapons being transferred over is a good thing. And there is a specific few that come to mind, and it is the biggest two, I think, that should be carrying over, because it doesn't have to be the entire arsenal per se. I think that most of the zombies community and myself will agree that having at least these two weapons, possibly more, because I'll get into it. I think that having the PPSH and the Olympia should be in Black Ops 7 Zombies, not multiplayer. It's already going to be in Warzone. Most of your cosmetics and everything, by the way, will transfer into Warzone, as you saw from that article. But I think that in terms of zombies, the Olympia and the PPSH should transfer over, because they are technically legacy weapons, and I wouldn't associate them with just Black Ops 6 and its time period, because the time period clearly went out the window. But at least for zombies, in this case, they're legacy weapons. The old crew, who, are pretty much being celebrated in some form here, they have returned, and you're telling me that on BO7 launch, they're not going to use the iconic weapons that they used to use. You're telling me that they're not going to use the PPSH. We're not going to have an M14 versus Olympia gang type thing. Like, we're not going to have any of that. And I know that the M14 is technically not in BO6, but it would be pretty funny if, as like a joke or something, they did add the M14 and have like a mini event going on for it. I think it'd be pretty funny, because, Call of Duty has acknowledged that joke so many times over the past couple months. So it'd be a missed opportunity not to bring over the Olympia and do all that. But that's a whole separate thing. But yeah, in general, I do think that those two weapons should carry forward, because they actually make sense. And the fact that none of it is carrying over is a little concerning, because again, they actually make sense to be in zombies, yet they aren't transferring over because of the backlash from all the multiplayer fans and a lot of the Battlefield 6 fans, to be honest. They're kind of cocky right now, saying that, well, if it wasn't for us, then, you wouldn't have this. It's this whole thing, to be honest. If you go on Twitter, you'll see it everywhere. I mean, you probably don't even have to watch the video at this point. You can just go on Twitter and find out your answer. But no, in reality, though, the multiplayer fans, I think, have a little too much say in here, just because, like, again, carry forward. Thanks to everyone, essentially, for making carry forward not happen. But again, there should be some exceptions, because it makes no sense. And then that also brings me up to another point, and this one really does not make any sense, because, I mean, there's not really an explanation for it. It just doesn't make sense, besides what I'm about to tell you. So, in Black Ops 7, they have confirmed that the Requiem crew, or the Terminus crew, however you want to word it or, say it, they will be in Black Ops 7 Zombies. You will be able to play as both the old crew from BO6 and technically the old/new crew from the old games into BO7. You'll be able to play as both of them simultaneously. It's kind of like an Alpha Omega situation, but that's besides the point. Apparently, since operator skins aren't transferring over, and operators, it's a little bit of a stalemate here, because, they have confirmed that those guys are coming to Black Ops 7, and they still should regain their same look. But the problem is that's all they're going to do. That's all they're going to have. So every skin that you have earned from either Easter eggs or, blueprint, or I guess Easter eggs and bundles, essentially, everything that you have bought for the Zombies crew will not carry over, because that is a part of the operator skins, quote unquote, that are supposedly canned now for BO7. So it's stuff like that that really makes you wonder if they even put any thought into it. I honestly think that they just kind of said, you know what, people are complaining, it's less work for us, so we're just going to call it a day and not carry over anything at all. I think that's pretty much what they were doing in that studio. But yeah, that means that skins that actually make sense for zombies characters like Mr. Peaks on Maya, or like the Repairman operator skin, like it's stuff like that. And obviously your Easter egg transferred skins like the one for Carver or the one for Maya, Weaver, Gray, like literally just the entire crew. You did Easter eggs to earn them, and those won't even transfer over. So you did all that hard work for nothing. And that also applies to Wonder Weapon skins, because those are technically a part of that same category. Whether you got them from doing an Easter egg or whether you got it from buying it from a bundle. And I don't, I will assume that most of the weapons, like the Wonder Weapons, aren't transferring over. And if they do, that's cool. But again, what's the point of having the skins in BO6 if they're not even going to transfer to BO7? It makes no sense. The only thing that they have confirmed for BO7 zombies transferring over is the crew themselves and the gobblegums. That is pretty much it. They said that no operator skins would be coming over, so it really just makes no sense in that aspect. So while carry forward is a good thing, I do think that there should be some exceptions, because it honestly makes zero sense to me why we're having this situation in the first place. And again, it's mainly the minority of the zombies community that is having this issue, including myself. I do think that it will suck not being able to use the PPSH or the Olympia. As someone who's planning to run like Nikolai Belinsky, considering that is my name in Call of Duty, if you can't tell. Not using the Olympia, which was in the Origins trailer, and just the fact that, just shotguns in general. That's Nikolai's thing. But I think not being able to use that seems a little dumb, and obviously that's just me being a little nerd about it and everything. But again, this is most of the zombies community. You go on Twitter, and most people are pretty vocal about it, I would say. Some people don't care, and they're like, it's whatever. But people spent money on these bundles, and they're not even going to get it in the game. So, that means that just all your hard work, like let's say, it's just a few things here. But let's just take a few examples here, like I was saying earlier with the skins and everything. So yeah, skins won't carry over, obviously, but with zombies characters, it kind of sucks that they aren't carrying over. And I will put some examples on the screen of what exactly won't be carrying over, and in case someone is confused in the comments, or just in general, whoever's watching this video. But like, all of this will not carry over to BO7, and I think that sucks. And I think that for them saying that they want to remain in the Black Ops legacy and everything is kind of under you're kind of undermining it a bit, because you're not bringing over certain things. And honestly, this is just me complaining, and this is just most people complaining, and I think there's a lot of complaints, and especially after I just talked about the complaints of Black Ops 7 in my recent video, I think it is pretty funny and kind of ironic. But in general, I do think that these are fair things that should be addressed in the future, and at least by COD Next or after COD Next, whatever they decide to do it, because there has to be some exceptions in this case, because all the BO6 zombie skins for the characters make sense, and the fact that we won't be able to use them kind of makes no sense, because they are technically the only things that are carrying over. Like, they didn't even specify that zombie things are carrying over, like the crew, for example. They never specified that in the article post at all. So it's just a little strange to me. But that's pretty much the general consensus of things right now. Honestly, you can form your own opinion about carry forward, and I did kind of ramble on, but that's just me. But yeah, let me know what you think about the carry forward thing, because honestly, I do think, there is some good, but there is some bad. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made this video. And I do think that if someone at Activision just so happens to see my video or my tweets on Twitter being, all crazy, or just people in general, I do hope that it reaches to them and we can come to some sort of arrangement, because, again, it would kind of suck not being able to use everything that we pretty much worked for. And if they do a super Easter egg, and it's like, let's say it's an operator, or let's say it's an operator skin, what's the point of doing it? Because there is no point of doing it, because it's not carrying over to BO7, and it'll just be a BO6 exclusive thing. And sure, that's fair, that's usually how the old games were, but I don't know, it's just, it throws me off, the fact that if we did get something like that, it just wouldn't make any sense. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover and all I wanted to talk about. And I'm sure we'll get some other things updated over the next few days because, Battlefield brings competition, so it's for the best. But yeah, I think I've rambled on for too long, and I think I've just said what I needed to said. So without further ado, I will talk to you all later and update you on more posts whenever that comes out. Peace.
Bro, 140 kills